Hello, my dear student. How are you? And how is your study? Today, I am here to share with you an important tips and important rules about negative sentence. If we follow on whiteboard, we can see clearly that a rule of negative sentence. A rule of negative sentence. That means we are going to know about negative sentence and important rule of it. Dear learner, before entering into the class, you have to know an important issue, an important matter of negative sentence. That means you have to keep some ideas, some significant ideas or notion about negative sentence. Okay, here I have written on the whiteboard. If you follow type of negative sentence. Type of negative sentence. We know that negative sentence is a type of sentence where negative something is revealed or negative something is expressed. That means it is opposite to affirmative sentence. It is opposite to affirmative sentence. That means today we will discuss a rule of negative sentence as transformation of sentence. We know that there are two types of negative sentence. There are two types of negative sentence. One is conversion of sentence and another is transformation of sentence. Transformation is a type of sentence. Transformation is a type of sentence where the main meaning remain unchanged. Remain unchanged. That means the main matter, the main issue, the main valuable meanings doesn't sense. Doesn't sense. But in conversion of sentence, the main meaning is sensed. Is totally sensed, utterly sensed. Today, we will learn, we will see that matter which is considered as transformation of sentence. That means the meanings will not utterly sense. The meanings will be unsensed. Okay, dear learner, here I have written must. Must. If you follow on whiteboard, you can clearly see that. You can clearly notice that must. Must equal to cannot but. Cannot but. Oblique or cannot help plus beyond plus ing. Cannot help plus beyond plus ing. There are two rules. There are two rules. That means instead of must, we can use cannot but or cannot help plus beyond plus ing. That means if in a question, if we find that if it is told to make the sentence, to make the given sentence, convert the given sentence into negative sentence, then you have to or we have to sense this negative sentence as transformation of sentence. And in this type of affirmative sentence, if we notice, if we observe the use of must, then we have to use in place of must cannot but or cannot help plus beyond plus ing. Either of the two, we can use only one. That means we have to use only one, not two. Here, this is your turn. That means you have to bear in mind. You have to remember this point. Cannot but or cannot help plus beyond plus ing. Very key. So what have you seen on the whiteboard? I am repeating it. You have to at first understand. You have to at first realize this factor. That means this structure. Otherwise, it will be meaningless. That means you will not be able to answer the question of negative sentence as transformation of sentence. If we find must in affirmative sentence, then if it is told to make this sentence into negative as transformation of sentence, then we have to use instead of or in place of must. What is it? What is it? Cannot but or cannot help plus beyond plus ing. cannot help plus V1 plus ing. Any of the two we have to use. That means we must use only one. Only one. So dear learner, it is clear. I think that then we see that the whiteboard example. That means I'm going to show you some example as your time is not wasted. That's why I have written previous time or before two example. Two example. So if we follow carefully on the whiteboard, we see that we must use mask to prevent corona. That means coronavirus or COVID-19. Coronavirus or COVID-19. We must use. Here we find must. There is a main point, main topic, and this sentence has to be changed. This sentence has to be changed. Negative sentence. Negative sentence if you follow. And this negative sentence will be as transformation of sentence. So we must use must to prevent corona. And now if we change this sentence into negative sentence, then what is the possible answer? If you follow carefully on the whiteboard, you can see that we cannot but use must to prevent corona. Cannot but use must to prevent corona. Already we have learned instead of must we have to use cannot but or cannot help. If we use cannot but, if we use cannot but, then the answer will be we cannot but use must to prevent corona. And if we use cannot help, that means the second part, second item, then the possible answer will be cannot help. Cannot help. And we have to bear in mind that if we use cannot help in a sentence to make this sentence negative, then we have to use ing. We have to use ing. That means using. Using. Here we find the main verb is use. Main verb is use. And for the use or utilization of cannot help, then we have to use using. We have to use using as structure. As we find in our previous class, in our previous time, I told you that you have to use cannot help plus V1 plus ing. That's why I have used here. We cannot help using must to prevent corona. It is clear. I think so. You have understood. And second example, if you follow carefully, I have written that people must be aware of it. People must be aware of it. Here we find the mention of must, alluded of must. That means here we have to use instead of must cannot but or cannot help. I have given here two answer, two solution. If you follow the first solution, you will find that cannot but. Cannot but, the first item of our structure. The first item of our structure. That's why people cannot but be aware of it. People cannot but be aware of it. That means instead of must, I have used here cannot but. And if we follow the second answer, second solution, it is clear. It will be clear to you that people cannot help. People cannot help. Then we have to use V1 plus ing. V1 plus ing. In our question, we have got the V1 be. V1 must be. That means people cannot help be. Then if we add or attach ing, then it will be the main being. Dear learner, if you follow carefully on the whiteboard, it will be clear that instead of must, I have here used cannot help. Cannot help. That means people cannot help being aware of it. Being aware of it. This is the answer. So dear learner, till now I told you important or significant speech, and it is time to you have to practice once again many more times to understands perfectly this lecture, this rules and regulation. Otherwise, you will not be able, uh, to practice this matter in your practical life. So, dear learner, practice many more times. That means practice makes the man perfect. If you practice, you will be a stockholder of this of knowledge, especially on English knowledge. So, dear learners, see you again with any other class and no more today.